Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot divination for Monday, Valentine's Day, the 14th day of February 2022. Well, I hope everybody got to watch the Super Bowl, or if you weren't into that, you missed a great halftime. That was wonderful. We really enjoyed that. And, go Rams. So I thought it was a lot of fun to watch it. I'm normally not a football person, but we do try to watch the Super Bowl anyway. Um, let's see. I have everything posted on the blog for this week, so check that out over there at Stepping Aside at imsteppengaside.com. Let's go over today's esoteric influences from that post for Monday. We have a 5 numerology for today, so innovation, change, protection, and creativity. The rune from the Elder Futhark for today on that was Birkenau or birch tree. It also means fertility, family, birth, growth, healing, new beginnings, or bringing something to fruition. So it wouldn't be the pregnancy, it would be the birth itself, if you were to look at it that way. Laetitia is the geomancy rune for today that I drew, and that means joy, health, laughter, good fortune, intuition, imagination, and also being an activist. So let's see, the sun's in Aquarius and the moon was in Cancer until it transitioned into Leo at 3:18 this morning Pacific Standard Time. So today you may be able to find some creative solutions. Your intuition's strong and new growth is possible if you're able to consider possibilities that are outside your comfort zone. If this surrounds family issues, you could receive information about a pregnancy or birth, or perhaps tensions that have been long lasting are now beginning to heal. Let's see, the pregnancy part would be part of the new beginnings, but the birth would be bringing something to fruition with Birkenau there. You may find that your own leadership increases due to current circumstances, and through cautious persistence and a pragmatic approach, you're able to create a strong foundation that both protects and maximizes future potential today. And although external guidance may be necessary, most of your success will be derived from your willingness to delegate to and acknowledge input from others. Avoid self-doubt that impacts your decisions, and if necessary, step back to understand the overall picture before choosing a direction. Spend time with loved ones in an effort to restore your balance and offer support if needed, especially if healing relationships is in order. Take your cues from women in your life who help you stay grounded and move forward in harmony with all. If you want to see more of that, go over to, for the rest. I'll do this again on Thursday. We'll look at Thursday's influences. But if you want to see the rest of the week, go over to the blog at imsteppengaside.com. Links are below the video here. If you just click on show more, you'll see that. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you'll click subscribe and come back. We do this twice a week, and I kind of like to integrate different modalities. So I'll choose a rune. I don't choose a rune. I'll draw a rune, and then I'll do a geomancy. I'll throw the geomancy runes down to find out what the geomancy rune is for today, for the reading anyway. And then we'll look at least 3 cards, usually 3, but sometimes it feels like we need more. So I'll take 1 or 2 more depending upon the reading. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get my keyboard out of the way, and we'll draw the Elder Futhark rune out of the bag. And the process I use there is, I've set the intention that this is to be for the reading, and then I just kind of let the runes fall through my fingers, and whichever the last one is the rune. So I figure the one that wants to end up being the rune for the day is the one that ends up in my hand. So let's see. Well, we have Birkenau, so that's aligning, well with the esoteric influences. That this doesn't usually happen, although last week I did have, was it Conjunctio, the geomancy rune that was also, I think, the geomancy rune for that particular day. So again, new beginnings, healing, family, maybe a birth of some kind. It could be bringing something to fruition. So maybe a project that you've been working on is going to come to its completion today. it just kind of depends on what it on how this impacts you. If you don't feel like it does yet, just give it a little while, and maybe something will unfold today through Wednesday, we'll say, because this reading basically covers that time period. And when I'm throwing down the geomancy runes, if you've never seen that before, there's a variety of ways you can do geomancy, at least in terms of this type of divination. You can have a handful of peas or beans and throw them down and count them. And if you have an even number, you put down 2 dots. If you have an odd number, you would put down a single dot. So what I did is I just, this is the one for water, and I put the glyph for water on it, because you're going to put the runes in a there's going to be 4 of them, and it's going to go in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And so let's see what we have when we put them in order. Well, we have conjunctio, which is what I was just talking about. Conjunctio is about joining or union. It can also be about agreements. Kind of looks like a little hourglass, doesn't it? So if you look at it in terms of joining and union along with Birkenau, then maybe we are really going to be healing some relationships today or over the next few days. You may have the opportunity to do that. I know that over the last, we're in 2022 now, so over the last 5 or 6 years, relationships have been so strained. If you take it back to 2010, then it's been even longer. It's been twice that time. And I think that differences have been magnified, and I think that it's affected both familial relationships and also friendships. So maybe this is the time where some truth is revealed about it and some awareness is gained, and maybe we can start to come back together in a way that respects one another and brings the love back into our relationships with others. Because I think that it's been really suffering of late. I think unfortunately the division stoked by the last president in terms of the pandemic has made things very, very difficult. I know that restrictions are about to be dropped in many states. It is going to be here by the end of March, I guess, unless it looks like it can happen sooner. Time will tell if that's going to be a problem or not, and if there's a new variant that comes out, then it could be a problem. But hopefully people will have the wherewithal to put the masks back on. And for those people that are immunocompromised, like I am, then, we're probably not going to stop doing that. So it's just, you're going to have people that are going to be making their own choices. And I hope that they let the science drive whatever choice they're making. Because I know for a lot of us, a lot of people comment on Twitter that, I've been home for 2 years. I go out very little because it's too risky for my health. And although we probably go out a little more than that, we've done the same thing. So it's just one of those things. You can't let ideology drive this. You have to have an understanding of the science and make the best choice for yourself. So with that, let's take a look at the first 3 cards, or maybe the only 3 cards. We'll see. Oh, well, we've got 2 cards from the major arcana. And I think that we're going to... One from swords here, the 6 of swords. This is like a journey over water. But I tend to interpret this as a shift in perception. You see this, swords is the air element, and so you can see perception, thoughts, and all of that. It can also mean justice. It can mean fairness. But basically, when I see this, I see, okay, there's going to be a shift. You see a man, which may or may not be the husband of this woman here, but you see a woman and child huddled against the cold. You see snow everywhere, so we know that it's winter. It's a change in circumstances. Something has happened, and they're either going on intentionally, and it's not due to anything that's a difficulty that's happening, but there's a sense of challenge to it. But they're willing to take that risk to have something better. And if you're talking about it in terms of perceptions, if you've been under a specific belief structure, you may be feeling the need to shift that. You may be discovering that what you thought was not really what it really was, and it's time, no matter how challenging it might be, to move on to something else. So and there's a, with the six, there's a sense of a shared path here. And so I tend to, I mean, you can look at this as the guy who's driving the boat and they're paying him to ferry them across the water, but I tend to look at it as a family. So again, that would align somewhat with Birkenau and the idea of new possibilities or new beginnings. But again, you're looking at the air element. So I have to think that it's really about seeing things differently, no matter what the challenge. So if you have a situation where you're part of a group where you're looking at the belief structure of the group and saying, I don't believe this anymore. It can be challenging to leave that, but it's necessary in order to shift your perception to something that's more realistic. So let's think about it from that way. Now, I'm going to use that as the significator of the reading. So we'll just say that that's what this is about. We're shifting perception to something that may be leaving behind something that may want to keep us stuck in the perceptions that we were involved in. But now we're moving, no matter how challenging it is to leave that, and how challenging the future might be. There's a sense of aloneness with the winter and solitude with the winter. So you may be on your own for a while until you can find your tribe again, basically. But we have the Magician and we have the Hangman. Now, with the cards from the major arcana, I see those as soul archetype cards, like a lot of other tarot readers do, and so there's a little bit more emphasis. The minor arcana is really the details of our day-to-day existence or our daily life, the routine, all of that. But when you look at the major cards, these are the ideas that the soul comes in with. And in form, we have to be reminded of that there's something greater than ourselves at work here. Greater forces are at work. And with the Magician, you see the Magician in an as above, so below stance, one arm up to spirit, one pointing down to form. You see a scroll, which is the word of God or the word of the Creator. You see the garlands here, which are going to be similar to what you see here. Okay, that's a reflection of spirit and the love of the Creator. You see the lemniscate above his head, the figure 8. That denotes cycles and reincarnation, basically. The cyclical nature of the soul focusing into form again and again and again to bring back whatever awareness it gains into the collective consciousness, the collective aspect of source presence, basically. Here you have his tools on the table. You have the pentacle or pentagram. You have, or in the case of the tarot, it'd be the pentacle. You have the chalice or the cup. You have the sword, which is the air element. This would be the water element. This would be the earth element. And here you have the wand, which is the fire element. So all elements are there. You see roses and lilies on the ground. So we're trying to infuse our awareness with source presence instead of ego. Now, conversely, in the Devil card, you will see the same stance that the goat-headed figure takes. He's perched on a post, but instead of a scroll in his right hand pointing toward heaven or toward spirit, you see a fiery torch pointed down toward form or ego. And in that card, the Devil is really about being a slave to desire, a slave to the ego, and a focus on ego and forgetting that you're actually a soul, embodying this body, infused into it, bringing spirit into your awareness here. So there's some commonalities throughout this and some synchronicity within the major arcana here, that you just don't find it just in one card. Oftentimes you'll find that same symbolism reflected in its own way in others. And again, you see the symbolism up here in the Magician card. But the magician is all about development of the will, it's life force, it's inspiration, it's how we manifest spirit into our lives. It's also, let's see, it's also about an alchemical balance, again, inspiration. Um, but it's all the elements in balance, and that's the alchemical aspect of it. Magic is really alchemy, it's science basically. Although it is working with elements, it is working with energies versus actual uh, things, like gold or substances, earthly substances. Well, you can also think of them as, you think of the periodic table of elements. So you can see the relationship, the energetic with the physicality of it all, particularly expressed in the magician, with all of the flowers that are around him. And that would be the physical manifestation of the cosmic energies of creation. And then I'm going to talk about the Hanged Man before we go back to how all that applies and informs this significator card of the Six of Swords. Here we have the Hanged Man. This is about surrender to spirit. The 12th card of the major arcana, you're looking at a 3 energy, so you see triplicities 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. But you see the light of spirit around his head. He's hanging upside down in surrender, surrendering to that influence, to spirit informing his awareness and his expression into form. It's about alignment, transformation, change. It's an as above, so below, just like this is, type of energetic card. Spirit focus, letting go. So how does that, so we really have a card of manifestation with the magician and the card of, in fact, we could probably put the hangman first, about the process one uses when one is letting go of perceptions that no longer serve and are moving forward to something new on a shared path there. They're doing it for their child, basically. You could say they're doing it for the whole family, which would be a real Birkenau type of experience. It's also a conjunctio type of experience because it's almost like a figure 8 if you look at it right. And you're going to see that here again with the figure 8 or lemniscate above the magician's head. So there's a lot of synchronicity in this reading between the different runes and the cards themselves. But clearly there's a new day, new beginnings, particularly with Birkenau. And the new day is reflected in the choice to move on. No matter how difficult it might be, no matter what the challenges are, no matter how alone you might feel in the process, it's time to move on, to let go of perceptions that no longer serve and move on into something that makes a little more sense, that focuses a little more on harmony. It doesn't mean that we all have to agree with one another all of the time, but there has to be this fundamental harmony that we live within, because it's what we live within in the Creator. And the idea is that we are, again, aspects of the Creator focused into form. So why wouldn't we do that? Well, we get caught up in the ego. We get caught up in the goings on of life. We make it all too real. Instead of understanding it as a projection or a movie that we're witnessing, we get involved in it. We participate in it. We focus on the ego of it. But the Hanged Man is saying maybe we've surrendered to spirit. And we've changed our thoughts about things. We understand the mind-body balance. That's the triplicity, mind-body balance, or spirit, soul, ego balance, however you want to see that. And we've discovered that maybe we had too much of an emphasis on ego. And so now we're willing to let spirit inform that awareness. And we realize that was not working. That it was filled with conflict, filled with division, filled with the ego side of life, and ultimately it was not spiritually satisfying. And so we allowed a transformation to take place with the Hanged Man. Or if you're considering doing this, you have to know, how do I do that? Well, you surrender to Spirit first, and you align in that energy. So kind of a couple different ways to look at this with the same theme, basically. And then from there, we manifest in balance, letting Spirit inform that entire process, and we manifest anew. And again, there's a sense of newness here. But with Birkenau's influence, we're talking about, and conjunctio and union and joining and agreements. You know, you look at Birkenau here, and let's draw it out. Let me see if I've got a piece of paper, and there's my pen. If we look at Birkenau and we explode it out to see what runes are involved in Birkenau, I will show you. We have several. We have Isa, alignment in spirit. We have Laguz, flow from spirit. We have Vunyo, which is joy and fellowship with others. And we have Kinez, the torch, or the light of spirit, or the will, informing and enlightening and illuminating our path. And we have it, but look at the emphasis here. Here is the normal presentation right here. It's the expression outward. But look, we have it twice inward. So what it's suggesting is allowing, and it's aligning very well with the Hanged Man. It's saying, let's align in spirit. Let's bring spirit into our awareness so that we understand that the choices that we've been making don't reflect that. And now it's giving us the illumination and the transformative ability to push off into a different direction with new thoughts. You know, the whole idea of all of this is that it's just a projection of thought from the Creator. And so if that's the case, then you need to allow that to, you need to remind yourself of who you are, in truth, who you really are. That it is not, you're not an expression of ego. You're not the reactive presence. You are, in fact, the invoking presence of spirit. And so you can take command of your thoughts, you can take command of your perceptions, and you can decide, you know what? You can look at them critically. And you can determine which one can you take with you into your future endeavors. Are you going to leave behind the hate? Are you going to leave behind the disagreement? Are you going to leave behind the ego of it all and move forward confidently with spirit as your guide, illuminating your path? So no matter how difficult it might be, you can't let the fear keep you back. If you really feel like this is the time to come back together in unity with people, if you've not been in unity with your family, if you've not been in unity with your friends, you've gone off in a different direction, maybe it's time to reconsider that and come back to the family, come back to whatever your tribe is. And it might feel weird or uncomfortable at first, but once everyone gets together, it becomes easier. And pretty soon you find yourself back in sync with people. And again, it doesn't mean you have to agree with what everybody says. People could have disparate opinions about things, but it doesn't mean you don't love each other. It doesn't mean that they're not your family or your tribe, you see. So again, how we manifest. Are we going to do it by surrendering to spirit? Are we going to do it by harnessing the elemental energies of spirit and focusing them into form and creating the world that we want? You know, the world that includes our family, the people we love. Or are we going to continue to devolve into conflict? Because it really seems like there's not a lot of shades of gray right now in between. You either have one or you have the other. And it's a very uncomfortable experience to sit back and watch it and to experience it. Because if you're somebody that believes that spirit is who you are and you try to embody that into your life, you watch with confusion and concern over anyone else that's not doing that. Because it seems to be at such extremes right now. And again, it's not, you don't come to any resolution when it's like that. You have to come together in conjunctio to find that common ground that you can work within so that solutions can be found. So there's another aspect of this that could be possible today. So I don't think I need any more cards, particularly with the Hangman and the Magician in play here. But just know that soul and spirit, they're coming in and they're saying, look, you need to be focused here, not there, not in the reaction side of life. You need to be focused in the creative side of life. One that again, understands that we really are one family. One big messy family maybe, but we're one family, and we're one family in the Creator, and that's where we need to stay. No matter, because if you're there, at least if you're starting there, you have one point of commonality from which everything else can flow. And, if it's like when people come together and say, okay, this is the problem, or this is what we want to do, like in a business, the folks come together. It's a planning session where, what are we going to do now? Well, you might have 10 different people wanting 10 different things, but you're all focused on the same goal, right? And so ultimately, you're either going to find a way to combine some of that, or one person's idea is going to win out. But it's going to be after lots of discussion, and eventually people are like, yeah, okay, I think you're right. Let's do that first. And we'll table these other things. But you see, that's where you have disparate voices coming together in one common purpose for the sake of something greater than themselves. And they're able to do that because they have a common purpose. And that would be the conjunctio energy here. So over today, and then, today through Wednesday, and then we'll pick this up again on Thursday. Now, last week, the readings synchronized together. The Thursday reading was just an extension of Monday's. And maybe that'll be the same this week. I don't know. But again, think about this and see how it can apply in your life, or coming up, whichever. And just be aware of how your perceptions are beginning to shift. And as scary as that might be, particularly if they're attached to a particular group or cause or whatever, if they're beginning to shift, there's a reason for that. If you're wanting to come back to, some kind of commonality with people, some kind of harmony with people that isn't reflecting division, that's actually reflecting unity, that's a good thing. Let that happen. And realize that you need to surrender to spirit, and you need to manifest a different path. So, with a little more balance, maybe. So, anyway, that's it. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. And again, just pay attention to if it doesn't seem to resonate at this moment, it could here in the next few days, or even further on. And just remember that if it does, that's sort of the process you need to take, so that you make your decision about what you want to do. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by. Again, click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And come back and join our little Rune and Tarot family here. And I just think that these things can help guide us in life. I'm less about prediction than I am about giving people the tools to make the best decisions for them. And that's how I look at these readings, is just suggesting that this could be going on, and if it is, here's what you can do about it. So that's the approach I take anyway. Other tarot readers might do, and other rune masters might do something else, but that's how I do it. So anyway, thanks for watching. And we'll talk again Thursday. So be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.